Brilliant. We're in. Massive welcome to everybody that's jumped in live. Massive welcome to everybody that's catching up on the recording as well. So today we're going to be going into two sort of different topics, really. We're talking about micronutrient intakes to begin with, as you can see. We're also going to be going into meal planning as well. So I'm going to shift across to a different slide deck shortly, just to go into the meal planning side of things, just so that you can confidently map everything out going forward. Um, and obviously the challenge starts next week. Really looking forward to supporting each and every one of you throughout that. So let's jump in straight away. So we've got the top tips to maximize micronutrient intakes. So what we need to go into first is, what I like to do is really describe why, if we're sending you recommendations and advising you on certain aspects, it's really handy to know why we're doing these things, because as soon as you understand the reasons for the recommendations, you start taking it a bit more seriously and you think, I really can't miss out on this. So obviously, as we all know, having fruit and veg, just generally speaking, making sure you're hitting 5 or 6 portions of fruit and veg per day. We all know it's a healthy thing to do, of course, but specifically why. So some of the benefits are, if you're especially if you're going from, let's say, 2 or 3 portions per day and transition across to doing 5 or 6 portions per day, we've got a massive upscale there. So you're going to really, really feel the benefits on this one. So, firstly, we've got higher energy levels. Lots and lots of vitamins and minerals means that your body's going to be functioning much more optimally. So energy levels are much more likely to be increasing. We've also got, when we're going to the gym and we're doing our sessions, your body needs vitamins and minerals to recover optimally as well. So you might find that that period of time where your muscles feel a bit tired, a little bit achy, the period of time that happens within sort of reduces a little bit. So it definitely assists with recovery as well. It helps with immunity. So especially this time of year, I don't know about you, but I know loads and loads of people at the moment that coughs, sneezes, flu, colds, things like that. So all these vitamins and minerals, and also the additional fiber as well to help assist with your gut health. This is all going to be assisting with the immunity side of things as well. Of course, like I've just mentioned there, we've got gut health, so we've got lots and lots of fiber going in there in particular, and the fiber assists massively with promoting optimal gut health as well. So there's obviously lots and lots of vitamins and minerals, especially if you have a variety of different intakes. So things like calcium in particular. Your bone density is going to be assisted as well. Just bear with me 1 second. Just make sure everybody's. If you've just joined us, if you could just jump on mute, that would be fantastic. You can unmute yourself at any time and have a chat with me, ask any questions as well. Brill. Also, we've got brain function. It helps with brain function. It helps with literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other processes. So I'm massively summarizing here. I didn't want to keep you today for 16 hours on a presentation, so I've obviously condensed it down to some of the key take-home messages here. But just please do bear in mind that it helps with hundreds of other areas as well. So this list certainly isn't as extensive as it could be, just for pragmatism purposes. So how do we do it? So just really, really simple steps on the fruit and veg side of things. Number one, aim for 6 portions per day or more. There was a lady that I used to work with. She was a nutritionist for the British Mountaineering Council, and she had the task of going and visiting lots and lots of different countries and setting up guidance and advice for climbers, for skiers, snowboarders, loads and loads of different types of athletes. But the beautiful bit was that she got to visit all these different countries. And I can remember having a chat with her. This is years and years ago. It's probably about 20 years ago now. But she said, it's really funny because in the UK, obviously we have these guidelines of, really trying hard to meet the at minimum of 5 portions of fruit and veg per day. But you go to other countries and it really, really would be the case of it's completely and utterly normal for them without even really trying to get 7, 8, 9 portions of fruit and veg per day. Obviously, it's an environmental thing as well. If you live on a farm, for example, and there's an apple tree over there and this, that, and the other, and it's a lot easier for you to access those things. But the one thing I would say is just really, really try and make sure that you're hitting a minimum of 5 portions of fruit and veg, ideally six or more, but just try and make sure that that's the absolute bare minimum. So step two is eat a rainbow. So it might sound a little bit cheesy, if you like, but this is the advice that we've given to primary school children that we've worked in lots of different primary schools before, and it's such an easy way to ensure that there's lots of variety within your fruit and veg intakes. So if you can get something from the red section, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, and you're constantly mixing that up, then amazing. Absolutely massive high fives all around. It can be a little bit tricky. And by the way, you're absolutely fine to repeat certain fruit and veg. It's not an issue. Just make sure that over the course of the week there's a variety going in there, and we're not having the exact same 5 portions of fruit and veg every day, just copied and pasted. That's still great, by the way. It's still not necessarily an issue. But what I'm trying to get at is here, diversity and having that variety is really important to make sure that we're ticking as many micronutrient boxes as physically possible. So just make sure that we're mixing it up constantly. So bear with me 1 second. I've got a second slide deck here. Just bear with me 1 second. Nope, that's the same one. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go into a little bit on the meal planning side of things, and me being hugely vain, there's a picture of me on the start there for some reason. But
Shane,
anyway,
just
we're going to
quickly,
be we're
we
going to
did.
be going into meal planning side of things going forward. So,
Shane, just quickly, can you hear me? We didn't see a slide deck for that first thing you were talking about, and then we did have your slide deck up, but now it's gone for us.
oh, I see.
So that we didn't see a slide deck for the micronutrient stuff,
Oh,
and
super.
now we did, but we had the one sort of open below that was the meal planning, but now that's gone. Now I can just see everyone else. I don't know if that's the same for everyone else. Probably is.
Was that the same for everybody? Can you just drop in the chat box a yes or something like that? Can you see that now?
No.
That's really strange. Hold on 1 second. Um, okay. So if I click share and share screen here, can you see that now?
Yeah. Oh, now I can see the micronutrient one. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'll just whiz through that really quickly just so that you can see what obviously I was presenting on there. So obviously we had the benefits that we've gone over, the energy levels, recovery, immunity, gut health, bone density, brain function, and like we said earlier on, hundreds and hundreds of other benefits as well. And then obviously just the simple steps just to round it off in practical terms. Aim for 6 portions of fruit and veg per day. Eat a rainbow, so we've got a nice diversity of lots of different types of intakes, so that we're maximizing the likelihood of us ensuring that we're having lots of different types of vitamins, minerals, trace elements, antioxidants, fiber, and so on. So let me take a look. Excellent. So just bear with me, and we'll jump on to the second section, which is the meal planning bit. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what happened there. I clicked obviously share screen as I normally do. Good old technology. So just to confirm before I jump in, can everybody see my screen there? Brilliant. Excellent. Okay, so we'll jump into the meal planning side of things. Again, I think this sort of dovetails nicely into the challenge in the sense that you can map out everything, obviously, to tick all the challenge boxes going forward. But it's not only going to help you with that; it's going to help you just generally meal planning as well. So the main sections that we're going to be going into is the quantity side of things, making sure that we're getting the quality boxes ticked, also the strategy as well. So before we go any further, I just want to make sure that everybody keeps it as simple as physically possible. You know, when we have really complicated ways of doing things, it creates lots of friction to you staying consistent. So please just make sure you're prioritizing simplicity as well, so that it just makes your life easier and it makes you much more likely to, like we say, stay consistent week in, week out. So when it comes to, in particular, weight loss, one of the main overriding factors is that we do need to make sure that we're consuming the correct amounts. So, you know, there was a famous sort of, I wouldn't say study because I don't think it's the most scientific thing in the world, but it was of interest. You know, there was a famous professor out in the US, and he basically followed the Twinkie diet, meaning that he was wanting to prove that regardless of the quality of your intakes, you can still lose weight if you're having atrocious quality, but the quantity is still where it needs to be. So in essence, the total amount of calories, you're creating a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter whether you're having, like this professor did, he had Twinkies, I think it was Doritos and something else he was allowed, something along those lines. You sort of get the picture. Not the best quality intakes, but because he was still in a calorie deficit, he still lost weight. So we're gonna kick off with quantity. By the way, I'm not recommending that you just fill yourselves with Twixes and Mars bars and things. I'm not suggesting that, but the take home message here really is, even if you're having amazing quality intakes, so lots of fruit and veg, lots of, let's say, nuts and seeds and berries and oily fish and like lean protein and things like that. If you're having too much, you won't lose weight. So the key take home message from this particular section is we just need to be making sure that we're creating that calorie deficit. So when it comes to the calorie deficit, I there's a website that I use. It's super simple. It's calculator.net/calorie calculator. It takes you to a page like this, just on the right hand side. You just enter your personal data, so your age, gender, height, weight, and physical activity levels. And once you click calculate, it takes you to a page like this on the right hand side. So there's two different ways of viewing that data. So it gives it you in kilograms per week. So if you're wanting to lose 0.25 of a kilogram per week, or half a kilogram, or 1 kilogram, it also gives you the opportunity to do it in pounds as well. So if you're more familiar with pounds or kilograms, it doesn't really matter. It gives you both. So just for the purpose of today, we're going to go on the bottom here. So if this individual, 30-year-old male, 180 centimeters, 100 kilograms, and he's working out roughly, 1 to 3 times per week, the estimate here generated is as below here. So if he wants to lose £1 per week, he's got to be consuming 2,244 calories per day. If it says extreme weight loss, by the way, that's the only problem with this website. I wish it would take that word out. £2 per week is not extreme at all. It's certainly the higher end of the spectrum, but it's not extreme at all. So just ignore that wording. So if he wants to lose £2 per week, it's 1,744 calories per day. So if you look at the difference between these two here, so it's exactly 500 calories difference, and there's a reason for that. So if you're wanting to lose £1 of body fat per week, we're going to be having a calorie deficit present of minus 500 calories. If you're wanting to lose £2 per week, the calorie deficit has to be 1,000 calories. So it just paints a nice little picture for you there. You can also go sort of midway in between. So if you want to lose £1.50 per week, that's absolutely fine too. One thing I would say is the number one priority is consistency. So a lot of people fall into the trap of just going, do you know what? I just want to lose as much weight as physically possible, as soon as physically possible. And what ends up happening is that there's too much of a rate of weight loss. And when there's too much of a rate of weight loss, people generally start throwing the towel in and going, I can't do this anymore. I've got low energy levels. I'm not recovering right. I don't feel right in my sessions. So we need to find that balance of, getting the results that you want, but also balancing that with consistency. So at no point you really feel as though you're pulling your hair out and you just want to throw the towel in. That's what we need to avoid, really. So choose your weapon. So this is in reference to there's not really any right or wrong specific strategy to follow. The main thing is that you pick a nutrition strategy that is best for you as an individual. So we could have, let's say there's 100 people that are listening to this presentation now. We might have 10 people that are vegan. We might have 10 people that go, do you know what? I much prefer to go low carb. And then you've got another 10 or 15 people that go, I can't stand I could not stand going low carb. I want to go low fat. And then somebody else goes, no, but I don't really want to do anything like that. I just want to be mindful of what I'm eating and really focused on my hunger levels and my satiety levels. So when I'm consuming food, I don't overconsume because I notice those hunger signals going. You might be put down for mindful eating. I've put high protein as though it's an option. I would actually quite like everybody to do high protein, by the way. It doesn't really matter what strategy that you follow. Making sure that you're hitting your protein intakes is absolutely, it's like a little cheat code, if you like, for weight loss. Helps with the satiety, the feeling of fullness, recovery, preservation of muscle tissue, and many other different areas. We'll actually do a little protein specific masterclass in a couple of weeks' time. But yeah, there's lots of different strategies out there. Pescatarian diet. There's a ketogenic diet. I'm really not a fan of that, to be honest. But at the same time, some people it works fantastically well for. Intermittent fasting, omnivorous diet. So omnivorous just means inclusive of everything. There's not really any sort of restrictions at all. They might just reduce their total calorie intakes and still consume bits and pieces of everything. So there's not, it's not low carb or low fat or restricting anything. So the main thing is the strategy that you pick is going to be the best strategy for you as an individual. So there's loads and loads of different strategies out there. But one thing I'd say is it's a little bit like if you want to lose weight, you have to create the calorie deficit. There's no other way around that. So let's say you were driving to work or something like that. Everybody's got to go down the same road to get from A to B. So the road is the calorie deficit. You can't veer off that. You can't change direction. You have to go down that road. However, the vehicle that you choose to get from A to B is entirely up to you. Some people have got dogs, some people have got stupidly got 3 kids like me, for example, and you've got to pick a car based on bloody ISOFIX points in the back and of the car and boot space and things. Some people haven't got kids and they want to go, they want a sporty car that's fast and nimble and that sort of thing. It's sort of the same principle with your nutrition. So whatever weapon you choose is entirely up to you, and that bit's based on personal preference. So that it's as optimized for you as an individual and your preferences as possible. But so long as it creates that calorie deficit, that's the main thing. So regardless of your strategy, like we said earlier on, what I want you to do is just start with protein in almost all of your meals. A good chunk of lean protein to begin with. We move next onto the fruit and veg side of things, which again will obviously complement the challenge next week. So lots of plant-based food. So again, fruit, veg, nuts, seeds, berries, things like that. Loads of micronutrient dense foods. And then on each plate, we move on to the next section, which is basically the rest. So the rest would be in reference to things like carbs and fats. So let's say you went out for a meal and you decide to get a steak. So that's the protein bit. And then we move on to the fruit and veg. So it could be seasonal greens or something like that, and some steamed broccoli or like peas, carrots, sweet corn, things like that. So that forms a good chunk of that plate. And then the rest would be, let's say a slice of garlic bread, or it could be a few chips or something like that. This is sort of in priority order. So the protein needs you need to have a good chunk of protein in each on each plate, a good chunk of fruit and veg on each plate, and then there's a little bit left over. So whatever you like, carbs, fats generally. So I do have an Instagram page. So um, obviously, I tell you what, I'll drop that in the group just more for inspiration purposes, really, because I post all the time, the different foods and things that I consume, and it might just spark your interest and go, oh, do you know what? That looks amazing. I might go and make that Thai green chicken curry or, Nando's chicken tray bake thing or like whatever it might be. So I'm not going to stay on this slide for ages because obviously there's a shed load of data here, but it's in two sections. Essentially, we've got an animal protein list here. So obviously, when you go through the recording, you can just you can pause it on this slide, um, and take a little note of different protein sections. Also, even if you're not vegetarian or vegan or pescatarian, and you're not following a plant-based approach, we can all still benefit from plant-based protein. So if your plant section is full of these things, you're also going to be getting these sort of secondary boosts in protein. So it's a fantastic thing, even if you're not on a vegetarian approach. So we've got nuts and seeds, different protein powders, veggies, beans, pulses. I put fish in there as well. It might sound a bit strange putting it in there, but some plant-based approaches, for example, pescatarianism, it's still based around plants, but the main intake is fish. So we've put that across there, and also pasta and grains, just to give you a little bit of an idea. So, like we said earlier on, when it comes to fruit and veg, the easiest thing to do is just make sure that you're having a nice variety. We're going to be having loads of different colours, basically. Just eat the rainbow. That's the main focus. So loads and loads of different colors means loads of different variety. That means that we're going to get loads and loads of different types of vitamins and minerals, fiber, trace elements, antioxidants, and all those amazing benefits that are associated with that. So when it comes to your meal plan itself, again, this can be individualized. So if you take a look just along the bottom there, so the totals for every single one of these strategies is the exact same. And just to keep the math simple for my simple Irish brain, we've gone for 2,000 calories in each example. So two meals, of course, two meals of 1,000 calories is 2,000 calories. Three meals, almost the same, 700, 600, 700 is 2,000 calories. Four meals of 500 calories. It's entirely up to you, this bit. Whatever works best for you. There's no recommendation like, oh, you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. Years ago, there was a bit of a, how can I put it, like a surge on the consensus that, if you spread your meals out into like seven, eight different meals, then every time you consume food, it fires up your metabolism in some way. So if you can spread it out over lots of different meals, you're getting these boosts in metabolism boosting, and it doesn't work like that at all. There's lots of research since then that suggests it doesn't make any difference whatsoever, or certainly no significant difference between 2 meals per day or 4 meals per day. It's more down to personal preference. So obviously, there's a few different examples here. 4 meals varied as well. So I've included this because this is sort of what I do personally. So I'm not massive for breakfast, to be honest. I wake up in the morning, usually because we've had an atrocious night's sleep because of our little minions not going to bed on time and waking up early and waking up a million times in the night and that sort of thing. So it could be that maybe. But in the morning, I'm not too hungry. So there's 200 calories, maybe. I might have like I don't know, a fruit smoothie or something like that with milk or coconut milk or something. That's about it. Gets the afternoon, I'm a little bit more hungry, but I'm still not ravenous or anything like that. So I'll get a half decent lunch in. Gets the evening, I'm pretty hungry by this stage. So my calories are stacked towards the evening rather than spread out equally. And then I usually have just snacks throughout the day, so might be three snacks at roughly 100 calories. Again, equates to 2,000 calories. So, like we said, whatever works best for you as an individual. So, just to summarize, we've got the quantity. This ensures that you either gain weight, maintain your weight, or lose weight. Every single one of us is going to fall into one of those three categories. If you're not wanting to lose weight, you can go onto the website that I showed you at the beginning here. Let's have a look. So if you you can still put your details in even just to maintain your weight. So to maintain this hypothetical gentleman's weight, he'd be consuming 2,744 calories per day, for example. Obviously, if you're wanting to gain weight, if you wanted to gain a pound per week, you would just add 500 calories on top of that. If you wanted to gain 2 pounds per week, you'd add 1,000 calories on top of that. So again, everybody's going to fall into weight gain, weight maintenance, and weight loss. So make sure we get the quantity right. Also, make sure that we get the quality right as well. It's super important that we're having protein in each meal. Super important, especially for the challenge that we're going to be having lots of plant-based intakes predominantly in there, lots of micronutrients and so on. And then also the strategy that you use to tick all those nutrient boxes. It just needs to be personalized to you as an individual. This as we get to know each other and we go through the weeks and the months and hopefully years. There's certain things that sort of trigger me a little bit, and you've got influencers saying, "Oh, the only way to lose weight is to go low carb," or "The best diet is ketogenic diet." "Oh, the best diet in the world is this." It's nonsense. It's literally the equivalent of us saying, well, I'll use the analogy that we used earlier on. Oh, everybody that drives to work tomorrow needs to have a Ford Escort or something. It's like, not really. Everybody's different. You pick your own preferences. That's nonsense. It's the same with your nutrition strategy. So hopefully that made sense. I know we've covered like quite a lot of different topics and dipped into loads of different aspects of nutrition there. However, at this point, if you've got any questions, please feel free to unmute yourselves. I know I've gone on a little bit longer, but I don't mind staying on a little
I've
bit.
got a quick one.
Of course,
Hi.
fire away.
I mean, I use an app for weighing stuff for my calories, but in regard to like a portion, like if someone just wanted, to know what's a portion of broccoli or a portion of green beans, like how do you sort of palm of your hand? Is it as much? Do you know what I mean? Like with an apple and a satsuma and a banana, it's obviously easy. But with the meal times, if you're not doing weighing and stuff, how would you associate a portion?
Yeah, I feel as though you've just read my mind there,
Oh,
Steph.
sorry.
Today, literally today, I'm going to be putting in the Facebook group like a portion list, and it's
Oh, okay,
extensive.
great.
The difficulty is, something like, let's say, raspberries or something. A portion of that is going to look different to a portion of banana or a portion of olives or a portion of bananas or something or whatever.
Yeah,
So it does vary a little bit.
right.
So I will put a portion list in the group, but
Brilliant.
one thing I will say is it's not let's say if it's like an 80-gram portion of, I don't know, blueberries or something. If you've had 69 grams, I don't care. Just count it as a portion. Just don't look. As long as you're as close as possible, then it just doesn't matter. Bananas are different sizes, so some of them are
Yeah,
large, medium, small. If you've had a banana, just count it as a portion.
yeah,
We're not going to be that anal about it, really. But at the same time, the variety and making
yeah.
sure that we've roughly got a portion is definitely important.
Okay, great.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. Any other questions, guys? Any thoughts? By the way, is everybody jumping in on the challenge next week? I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but happy days. More thumbs up. Peter, are you jumping in? Yes, bit of peer pressure there for Peter. Love it. Okay, guys. So I'll just hold on a couple of seconds just in case anybody's typing in the chat box. If there's any questions there, you're more than welcome. But to summarize, obviously we've had the presentation today. Try and action as much as you possibly can from the presentation. Obviously, we have the step side of things, we've got the hydration side of things, and we've also got the fruit and veg side of things. So, what I want to do is start off with something that encompasses a really nice baseline foundation to build on with our nutrition. So hydration, steps, and obviously the fruit and veg. That's going to help everybody massively. So let's say, for example, if you're on a weight loss journey, um, that it overlaps massively. So let's say if you're consuming 5, 6, 7 portions of fruit and veg per day, generally speaking, fruit and veg is very low in calorie density. So, so what I mean by that is if I challenged you to have 2,000 calories of pizza, it'd be pretty easy. Whereas if I challenge you to have 2,000 calories of raw carrots, I mean, you'd probably need buckets and buckets of raw carrots to do that. So what I'm saying is you can have loads of volume now and not that much of a calorie intake really. So veg helps massively with the weight loss side of things, and for many other reasons. Again, there's obviously we've got lots of presentations lined up for you, but if you have higher fiber intakes, that helps with satiety and feeling of fullness and slowing down the rate of digestion, so you feel fuller for longer. And so what I'm trying to say is there's a method in the madness here. So when we're recommending things, just assume there's really, really good reasons at all times that we're recommending this for you. Um, Hydration as well. And then the steps side of things, obviously, it's not really nutrition related, but it ties in nicely with the principle of, not just focusing on nutrition. We're going to focus on nutrition. Obviously, you're focusing on your workouts, of course. I'm sure James and Steph will be nipping at your heels if you're not. But the other thing is outside of nutrition and workouts, we've got your day-to-day levels of physical activity. So when you're not in the gym, when you're not in the kitchen sorting your nutrition out, day-to-day levels of physical activity is super, super important as well in its own right. So that's why we've sort of bolted on the steps side of things, because it's just a super simple metric to be able to assess that really. Awesome. Okay,
Can
so
I
there's
just check, Shane? Sorry, the thing it was calculator.net forward slash
yes.
calories calculator. Is that right?
Bear with me. I'll bring it back up for you now. So it's that's the website there. So
Ah,
it's calculator.net forward slash calorie calculator. So one thing I'll say is if you just go onto Google and type in calorie calculator, I think it's like the first or second hit on there. As long as it looks like the screenshots that I took there, that's the website. There's loads of different ones. I'm not saying you have to use that one. It's just the one that I use because I know that website uses the equations behind the scenes that I'm happy with. So other websites use different equations and things. So, but yeah, that's the one. Decent. Well, it's been absolutely awesome to meet you guys. Thank you very much for jumping on, carving out a little bit of time in your calendar for little old me today. Also, thank you to everybody that's catching up on the recording as well. I massively appreciate you catching up with the recordings. All of the presentations that we're going to be doing going forward are all going to be recorded. I'm going to be sharing it with Steph, and it's going to be magically uploaded to apps and this, that, and the other in happy days. So everybody can catch up as and when. It'll be super simple for you. Um, Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you, Shane. Extremely helpful. You're very welcome, Sarah. No problem whatsoever. So yeah, I look forward to catching up with you on the next workshop. I'm looking forward to in the gentlest way, nicest, politest way possible, nipping at your heels along the challenge as well to make sure that you're smashing it out the park. And of course, just surrounding you with support day to day as well. So don't forget, at any given time, if you've got any challenges or any questions, I'm always only ever a message away in the Facebook group for you as well. And yeah, we'll ride off into the sunset from there. Happy days.
thanks, Shane. Cheers, mate.
You're very welcome. Enjoy the
Thanks.
rest of your day,
Bye.
Thank you.
guys.
Bye bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.